Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate. Today we're going to travel around Singapore to show you the newest neighbourhoods and the exciting lifestyle and living options that surround them. First, we're going to start off at Canberra to see what a modern neighbourhood looks like. Welcome to Canberra. No, we're not in the capital of Australia today. Instead, we're in an estate in the north region of Singapore. Now, Canberra's roots harken back to its heritage as a colonial naval yard, and many of the roads and place names here have Commonwealth cities and countries like Canada and Kenya. In fact, many of the new designs of the developments in this area have that naval inspiration. Can you tell what inspired the design of Canberra MRT station behind me? In fact, many of the areas around Canberra MRT station were demarcated as future residential areas as way back as 2013. Now, in particular, we saw East Bank at Canberra and East Brook at Canberra launch as part of the May 2013 BTO exercise. Since then, many BTO projects have launched and completed in this area. And from our vantage point, Canberra is really settling in as a very recognisable Singapore neighbourhood. The centre of community activity revolves around the MRT station and the adjacent Canberra Plaza. Both are relatively new additions to the landscape, with the MRT station opening in 2019 and the mall in 2020. Now, Canberra Plaza is a good showcase of how our neighbourhood centres have evolved over time. As the focal point of the community, it incorporates community spaces, play areas, and public plazas, alongside retail and the transit network. For me, I'm going to chung to the A&W after I'm done with this. There are more community facilities that are set to come online. The indoor sports hall at Bukit Canberra was opened in October 2022, and the hawker centre will open in the first quarter of 2023. Now, Bukit Canberra is an integrated sports and community hub that will eventually see a polyclinic, care centres and swimming pools. Now, this site used to house the naval officers for the British naval officers that served the naval dockyards. But the only building that remains is the former Admiralty House, which was declared a national monument in 2002 and will eventually house a library here. Now, one of the attractiveness of Canberra is its proximity to greenery. There are two relatively large and untouched pockets of green spaces here, Simpang and Mandai. Plus, the Sembawang Hot Spring Park is also nearby. Now, it's important to note that the resident population in Canberra is still set to grow, with EC developments in the pipeline, like the recently sold-out Provence residence, set to add more residents to the community. There are also two new condominiums that are set to complete soon, the Water Gardens at Canberra and the Commodore, which were recognised at our annual Ep19 Excellence Awards this year. Next, we're going to head to the Lentor area and check out how that area is developing. We're in Lentor. Now, this area has really made headlines in recent months due to the number of government land sales that have been released. In fact, in October this year, we saw 2 more sites released for sale. Now, this brings the total number of development plots in this area to 6. Some market watchers have cited concerns that the pace of releases is a bit worrying because this means that new developments will be released quite close to each other. Lentor has long been dominated by clusters of landed housing estates along Countryside Road, Lentor Loop and the Teacher Housing Estate. And these areas have really added to the secluded charm of the area. But news of redevelopment also means that some of the green spaces have had to make way. We've seen pockets of forested areas being cleared in order to make way for redevelopment land. Now, connectivity in this area has really been boosted thanks to the Thomson East Coast Line, in particular Springleaf, Lentor and Mayflower MRT stations. Eventually, the line will connect to the Orchard Road area and down to the East Coast area. Now, much of the development has been centred around Lentor MRT station, and the popularity of the only integrated development here, Lentor Modern, has signalled that buyers are keen to move into this area. Now, eventually, this area is going to have more pedestrian paths, cycling paths, and commercial amenities that will really enhance the livability of this area. You can find out more information on this on Age-Prop's research page. Now, let's check out some of the makam places that can be found here. Some people might find Lentor familiar due to its proximity to popular food places, such as Springleaf, which has springleaf prata, and I find myself going there for some of my weekend brunches. Alternatively, there's also Casuarina Road, which has Casuarina Curry and Biscuit King, which sells a variety of nostalgic snacks and toys. I think that's enough of Lentor for now. Let's head over to our next destination. Our last stop takes us westward to the upcoming Tengah town, where we see the latest urban plans craft our future generation urban estates. Now, we also want to look at Tengah because the shifting land uses here reflect how Singapore has grappled with land scarcity, urbanization, and urban planning. Now, before the 1980s, much of this area was dotted with Malay and Chinese kampongs. All were gradually set aside and the residents relocated to the first few housing estates in Jurong and Bukit Batok. For nearly 20 years, a large portion of the land was used as a military training ground until 2015. But as Singapore's population grows, we need more land for future housing estates. But how do we balance this against the need for important land uses like defence, industry, and green spaces? HDB says Tengah will be built with smart technologies town-wide from the beginning, and we're going to see more community-centric and sustainably focused design, just like what we saw in Canberra and Canberra Plaza. There are going to be 5 distinct districts in Tengah: Plantation, Park, Garden, Forest Hill, and Brickland. And as the name suggests, each will have nature and forest-inspired designs. The first BTO development here, Plantation Grove, was launched as part of the November 2018 BTO exercise. And since then, many more projects have launched and construction activity here is booming. Now, we even saw the first EC development here, Copen Grand by City Developments Limited, launched in October this year. The EC saw 2,300 applications and eventually commanded an average selling price of 1,300 PSF. Now let's head over to other areas in this district that are also seeing transformation. We've learned to make much more efficient use of the scarce land that we have, and development plans in Tengah tie in with the revitalisation plans for the Jurong Lake District, which is envisioned to be Singapore's second CBD. Part of these plans will see the relocation of the much-loved and recognisable Jurong Regional Library, which will make way for future development. Commerce in this area is going to be supported by the upcoming Jurong Innovation District, which will see new manufacturing hubs and research areas that will provide the jobs for the new population in this area. That's it for this episode of Real Estate. In this episode, we took you on a journey to look at the upcoming neighbourhoods in Singapore, from completed ones like Canberra to developing ones like Lentor and Tengah. We hope you found what we shared in this episode useful, and stay tuned to our next episode where we'll do a roundup of all the events that happened in the real estate market in Singapore this year. As always, thank you for watching Real Estate. Real opinions, real statements.